Dee and Daniel here, friendly neighborhood stud muffin and sole guardian of the podcast. I've been plotting on how to get revenge on Tabletop Tim. I might sneak into his house, open his fridge, and delicately finger all of his delicatessen meats. But I'll need accomplices. Hedwig, Carlo, a socialist hobgoblin, and some new friends. Shall music effects, Edwin. Thank you all. You're terrible.
Hello and welcome to the Probably Bad Podcast, a podcast which is definitely bad. I'm Pencil.
Paper. Today's probably bad RPG idea is in the age of social media, omnipresent cameras, and global communication, the Guardians of the Veil have had to try a new method to hide the supernatural from humanity. They're putting big cardboard boxes over all the supernatural creatures. It's flawless.
So the fundamental problem with urban fantasy is that it's really, really hard to justify how a secret society of werewolves is still in hiding. Especially with big global conspiracies of werewolves and vampires and stuff. So just lean into it. Every time you shapeshift into a werewolf, a cardboard box just appears over you, and that's how no one notices.
See, because I'm generally the one that picks what ideas to do on the podcast, and I picked this one out purely because it just makes me think about Metal Gear.
Whenever someone discovers the supernatural, just like a little exclamation mark dings over their head.
But I do like the idea of just putting things in cardboard boxes because no one looks in those boxes. If someone comes to your house and it's full of boxes with little goblins inside, they're just going to
Like my
assume you're a
ears.
hoarder. It's great.
This isn't a vampire conspiracy. This is just my hoard of cool memorabilia. All of this is Star Trek memorabilia, I say, as two vampires fight off the wall.
Those tiny things with pointy ears are not pixies. They're Spock Funko Pops.
All supernatural creatures are disguised as being different Funko Pops.
I mean, it would make a lot of sense to me if Funko Pops were possessed in some way.
Yeah, like Funko Pops animate on the full moon.
You just can't tell because people tend to keep them in the boxes.
Yeah. Like, if you hold a Funko Pop up to your ear on the full moon, you can hear it quietly shrieking, "Help me."
Doesn't this suggest that this idea is perhaps real? And
Yeah, I
people
mean,
hide the supernatural by pretending that it's toys and models,
yeah.
like the Mothman statue. That's not a statue. They just paint Mothman in bronze paint and get him to stand
Yeah,
really
a little
still
known
when he's not
fact.
busy.
A little known fact, there actually is no such thing as statues. They're all supernatural creatures covered in paint or like stone or something.
Yeah, the statues of men on horses are actually centaurs with a fake horse head strapped to their bellies.
I also love the idea of centaurs hiding by strapping a fake horse head to their bellies. Hello, it is I, a normal horse rider with my paper mache horse face.
Get off the horse, you say. No, I like it up here. Actually, I'm good.
Sorry, I've only learned how to get on a horse yet. I've not yet had the lesson on how to get off it again. So I am gonna have to stay on the horse. Where are my legs, you ask?
Well, they're also papier-mâché. Oh yeah, you have the getting on a horse lesson, and then you have a week of getting used to being on the horse, and then you have the getting off the horse
Yeah,
lesson. Everyone knows that, right?
exactly. That's how you learn to ride horses. Like the way you learn to ride horses is you get on a horse and you're not allowed off the horse until you've learned to ride the horse.
They're just really committed horse girls.
Yeah, all horse girls are centaurs. If you know one, then you now know her dark secret. All skyscrapers are giants wearing like big fabric coveralls, so they look like buildings. Sometimes they sneeze. That's where wind comes from. Um,
Of course, in the olden days, they just disguised themselves as hills.
yeah, that's why there's no hills anymore. They're skyscrapers now. All lizards are dragons. They're just like doing that thing where like like what's the word? Hunch your shoulders so you look small. So they're all dragons, but they're doing that.
Are you
Um,
suggesting that lizards are just the Clark Kent to the dragon
yeah,
Superman?
like if you take off a lizard's glasses, you will go, "Oh my god, that's just a dragon." And all oceans are oozes.
That's true. Just ooze conglomerate.
Hmm. That's why if you touch the ocean even slightly, you will melt.
I mean, it's a long time since I've been to the ocean.
Exactly. Prove me wrong, fuckers. No one's leaving their houses. So we've said a lot of very true facts. I think we should possibly get back to the RPG idea.
Possibly. So the other thing I like about hiding them in cardboard boxes is a lot of films with like supernatural creatures, they always have that scene where you go into like a warehouse
Hmm.
and then in one of the boxes there's like uh I'm gonna have to call it a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Mr. Adam Frankenstein, or like a coffin with a vampire in it or something. And I like the idea that entirely that's what happens. That's where they go to
Yeah.
sleep. They're hidden in their little boxes.
Yeah, like it's not a warehouse that stores like supernatural monsters for government. It's just like a supernatural B&B. This is the dark and edgy Hotel Transylvania reboot we're all waiting for.
I mean, what is a coffin if not a special storage box for a corpse?
Hmm. Yeah. Each vampire must go to sleep in their original corpse storage box. I also like the idea of like a horror thing where you're being slowly chased by a cardboard box.
It has
Like,
to be like full Metal Gear, where if you
yeah,
turn around and look at the box, it has to stop.
yeah. But
Like essentially playing Grandma's Footsteps with a werewolf in a box.
I feel that could be legitimately unnerving if you play it right. There is just a
Yeah.
there's just a cardboard box, and every time you look at it, it's still, but when you look away, it is moving. And obviously, you don't want to look inside the cardboard box, because who knows what terrifying thing will be in the cardboard box.
Yeah, it's
It
like
will,
Mimikyu. If you look inside the box, you lose it.
yeah. It is a Frankenstein, but like, don't tell your players that. Um, yeah, if there's just a box, and when it's still, when you look at it, it's still, but there's like scratching noises coming from inside it, and then when you turn around and look back, it's moved. That could actually be a legitimately good like horror concept,
Yeah.
especially if you're in like a building full of cardboard boxes.
I have spent a lot of time in rooms full of cardboard boxes.
Hmm.
Oh god, vampires could even have the special kind of cardboard that museums use that's meant to not rot for ages.
Hmm.
Just to
Like
save on
vampires.
rebuying the boxes. Exactly, like vampires who also don't rot for ages.
Only if they're special museum vampires, though. Yeah, you're in just a
You
box.
walk into like the museum warehouse and you're looking at all of the special boxes and you open one of them and there's just a guy in there.
Like one of the starting ideas is this is a slight detour. One of the starting ideas for an RPG I've always kind of wanted to do is you're archaeologists, you just dig down, and you just dig up a dude, and he just like waves at you. A
Not like
foul,
an obviously supernatural guy, there's just a guy just like,
yeah.
"Hey, you made it."
I've been waiting 6,000 years, you fuckers.
I left a map and everything.
But yes, anyway, you're in a building full of cardboard boxes. There are scratchings coming from inside the cardboard boxes, and when you look away, the cardboard boxes move. I feel that's definitely like the issue is most players would set fire to the cardboard boxes, but
Mm.
that's why the monsters inside the cardboard boxes are bombs.
That's why the monsters are coated with asbestos, which is even scarier.
But then you just need to wait a bit for all of the monsters to die of asbestos poisoning.
Ah, but vampires don't need to breathe, therefore they cannot get mesothelioma.
I like the idea of vampires exploiting this by just filling their house with like asbestos.
Oh, when the attractive Victorian lady starts coughing up blood, it isn't vampires or consumption, it's just asbestos.
It turns out people were just really unhealthy in the past
I've heard this.
and today. But yes, I also feel like I think possibly the best way to do a kind of masquerade is just to like straight up parody it. Vampire, just like massive, like 9-foot werewolf with just a small cardboard box on its head, and everybody's like, ah, a dog.
Hey, that's not where I thought you were going. I thought you meant because I've had an idea for a while of doing like a comedy World of Darkness type thing
Mm.
where instead of having various monstrous forms, the different kinds of vampires just look like different goth subcultures.
I mean, the issue
And
is
they're
I
just
feel like
hiding in plain sight. Like some of them are goths, some of them are vampires.
Gothor Vampire is my favorite RPG. Like, yeah, I feel like vampires. I feel like at least some of them should be hiding as other subcultures. Like if werewolf, like if some like if the
Yeah,
Camarilla,
werewolves are jocks, obviously.
like if the Camarilla are goths and
Hmm.
the Sabbat are preps, then you've successfully made My Immortal as a vampire RPG. And it's a fun game to see how long it takes your players to figure that out.
The real question is what subculture are Nosferatu?
I feel like Nosferatu are. I'm gonna like throw it all for like I can't remember the phrase. What phrase am I thinking of? I'm gonna go like off the beaten track and say that Nosferatu are all the rich kids. Just this
Rich
like
kids do have rich people do have that kind of face sometimes, don't
yeah,
they?
like just this like skeletal thing, weeping spiders shows up in its fancy new Ferrari and brags about
And it's
how
Prince
rich it is.
Philip.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, as a British person, I am very sad Prince Philip has died. I wish they'd kept his phylactery safer. Um,
Oh, I'm over it by now. I'm waiting for the Queen to die now. We'll probably get a bank holiday when that happens.
all comedy is gonna be like stop being broadcast for 14 days when the Queen dies. No, that's an official thing that they're going. That's sort of on the
Oh,
paper. Yeah, all TV shows that have a comedic theme are delayed for 14 days when the Queen dies. So if you really
I
want
think
to
in
screw over,
defiance of that, we should put out an extra Probably Bad
yeah.
episode
So if
because
you
we are
really
every
want to
14
screw
days.
over Ricky Gervais,
I thought you said
don't
comedy.
a don't kill the Queen. FBI agents listening.
I mean, I would be more worried about like MI5, but sure. Um, shall we move on from treason to the first question?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Hazel, and I present the Bread and Thread podcast with Liz, also known as Paper from Probably Bad. Bread and Thread is a podcast about food history and domestic history and generally social history. We delve into a lot of different things. So if you'd like to know which country has laws against importing sheep, what cookbook will tell you how to make a great martini and also how to survive a nuclear bomb attack, or why you are using a fork right now, then come over to Bread and Thread and give us a listen. You can find us on Spotify or wherever else podcasts are. I don't know.
So I'm going with Krios V because I don't think I could pronounce the move from an S to a V. Um, asks, what kind of music do you have on during sessions? And follow up, what would be the worst music to have for a session?
I have only deafening silence. I don't even speak. I just sit there and stare intently at my players.
Yeah, like, serious answer, I don't tend to put music on during my sessions because I find it distracting, but that's
Like,
mostly auditory processing stuff.
yeah,
But
I
I
mean,
know a lot of people use, like, video game music, or you get various, like, 1-hour atmosphere type stuff on YouTube
yeah,
that a lot of people use.
like my main issue is that I don't plan my RPGs like a huge amount. I'm pretty improv-y, so I feel like I find it hard to get the music to apply thematically.
Mm.
Like I'm not great at going, okay, what kind of songs will happen in the sessions that I think are going to happen? But what music is the worst kind?
Caramel dancing 1 hour.
Hmm. Kazoo cover of a kazoo cover of this podcast.
The soundtrack to High School Musical 2.
Just screaming.
I
Another
don't think that counts as music.
cat depends how you scream.
If you scream a melody, that's just death metal.
Death metal. Another like songify the entirety of Critical Role and play that. Just to like confuse people about what's actually like being described at the table.
I like that. That would particularly confuse my players, I think, because I have a habit of just singing sentences instead of saying them
Yeah.
sometimes.
Have your GM and your GM's 4 friends show up and just do a barbershop quartet. You fought the ogre, you fought the ogre, you fought the ogre. Uh, I can't do a barbershop quartet by myself, but imagine there were like 4 other me's there.
I've imagined it. It's terrifying.
Statistically, there are at least 4 mod pencils in your room with you at any given time.
You're never more than 6 feet from a mod pencil.
It's true. If you're listening to this, I do live in your walls. Yeah, I'm sorry that we don't have a particularly exciting answer to what kind of music we have on during sessions.
I feel like it would maybe be interesting, and I think it's a submission that we get a lot, is I mean, you did say you like doing quite improvisatory GMing.
Yeah.
Just put a playlist on shuffle and try and keep to the tone of whatever's playing.
Yeah, I feel there is definitely an interesting RPG in there. What you need is songs just radically tonally different, I think. So you're just having like, a sweet character building scene, then the music changes and immediately you're bludgeoning a man to death.
Oh, yeah, like it would you'd have to pick the playlist carefully. It'd have to be, I don't know, just like someone's random Spotify top 100 rather than
Yeah.
any thematically coherent playlist.
Just yeah, you have to make your song like your game has to like correspond to the top 100 in the charts, and as soon as that changes, so does the song. So does the RPG.
I'm gonna open up the Billboard Top 100 right now and just see what we've got if you were to do that. I guarantee I'm not going to have heard of most of the people on this.
We are very uncultured. This personally is the first time I've even heard of music.
Okay, I mean the top 5 has a BTS song and also Montero, so I feel like just those two would be an interesting tonal shift.
I don't know who either of those people are. Is-
Uh, K-pop and the song where he gives the devil a lap dance and then kills him and becomes the devil.
Okay, yes, I do feel that would be an interesting campaign. I feel more campaigns should end with you killing the devil and then becoming the devil after giving the devil a
Yeah,
lap
I feel
dance.
like just a campaign based on Montero would be quite
I
interesting.
mean, it's a good warlock arc.
Yeah, it's attack and dethrone God, but evil.
Hmm.
Or maybe good. Maybe you're attacking and dethroning Satan so that you can rule hell nicer?
I am bringing democracy to hell via lap dances.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of unclear what Satan's job is beyond being a generic evil force.
In the Bible, he doesn't really like he's a prisoner in hell and he's basically just lashing out at other people in hell. But
So yeah, you make him stop and you start being nicer to the people in hell so they can have their redemption
you're
arcs.
gonna use lap dancing to implement prison reform in hell.
By which we mean give people lap dances.
Yes. From now on,
Depending
when
on how good at it you are, either as the carrot or the stick.
this
Like,
is the
either if you're nice, I'll give you a lap dance, or if you don't stop being mean, I'm gonna give you a lap dance.
the world's first only lap dance based outer plane.
See, the good place didn't think of that, did they?
No, and that makes this a better show than The Good Place. Come at me. We should possibly go on to the next question before I get beaten up by the cast of The Good Place. I can't remember the dude's name.
Um, Friend of the show, Blatella, is back in our inbox. Do any of the rules of being a fantasy dad change when applied to ducks? I like this because this is a callback which in turn references an earlier callback.
We're forming a deep and complex continuity.
So I think the way to do this is to go through the 8 rules of being a fantasy dad and figure out if they can apply to ducks.
Okay.
Number 1, tell your kids things.
No, you're a duck. You can only quack.
Yeah, I feel like number 1 we've already fallen down because duck dads don't really hang around. So maybe for ducks we've got to reverse this.
So don't tell your kids anything. Which makes rule 2, don't turn evil, into do turn evil, which again works out pretty well for ducks.
I mean, I'm not saying we have to flip all of them.
Well,
I'm just
rule
saying, like,
3 is ogre
the standard of good duck parenting is
Rule
very different to the standard of good human
Yeah.
parenting.
Rule 3 is ogre babysitter, so flip that. Instead, your baby has to, like, look after an ogre.
I feel like that might be a problem. I
Yeah,
think an ogre could still babysit a duck. Because it could pick up all of the ducklings just in its hands and give them a little snuggle.
Yeah, I think, like... Okay, yes. So yeah, with don't turn evil, I feel like in this context, that's don't become a goose.
Because geese are just evil ducks, that's well known.
Yeah, geese are, like, weirder. Every full moon, a duck turns into a goose and you have to put a cardboard box over it. But yeah, I think the ogre would do well at looking after little duck.
Yeah, it just need to be careful. And I mean, if the ogre babysitter accidentally kills the ducklings, then you get to be a sad dad, which is a hero.
Yeah, you get to go on a campaign to avenge your children.
Yeah, you wait, the duck equivalent of a decade, which is probably like a year, and then you find some poor abandoned ducklings. You take them in under your wing. Um, sorry, and you save them from the terrapins.
Yeah. So rule 4 is don't leave your kids, which I think we've already established doesn't quite work here.
hmm
Just need to vanish for a minute.
Yeah, 5 is don't delegate, which I think in context we meant like don't let other people rule your kingdom and things like that, which I think that one does still apply to ducks because, you know, most animals are territorial. I imagine the same applies to ducks.
Yeah, don't let your ducks rule your duck kingdom.
Make sure that you are the top duck.
Top in the pecking order, one might say.
You could.
Ducks are territorial.
Don't 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 let your duck vizier act as the surrogate parent to your ducklings.
Hilarious fact I learned. If you put a mirror in a duck enclosure, the duck will assume it is another hostile duck and fight the mirror. So rule 6 of being a good duck parent is to stay away from mirrors in case you're too busy fighting your own reflection to look after your kids.
See, the problem with that, though, is this implies that ducks don't understand mirrors, so how do they know?
Just stay
And
away from all other ducks, especially your children. Um, rule 6.
maybe contradicting ourselves a little here.
Check your baby for prophecies regularly. I don't think people make prophecies about ducks.
I mean, maybe duck wizards?
Yeah, but you know.
Like,
how
we've
many duck
established the
wizards-
existence of duck warlocks.
Yeah,
Maybe some of them have prophetic powers.
true. I guess, yeah, like, make sure no one has made a duck prophecy about you.
7 is train your kids, so presumably introduce your children to mirrors early so they get plenty of combat training before they face an actual enemy.
Like, remember, ducks are well known for their never-ending war against mirrors.
That's
So you
why
want
they swim in water so much. They want to destroy that mirror reflective surface.
yeah, you want to train your kids just in being a duck. Like, train your kids to be just a little bit of a dick. Not quite a goose level, but a little bit of a dick.
Teach your ducklings the difference between kind and nice.
Flip your ducklings upside down
Why flip your ducklings upside down?
so they can swim upside down. Most ducks can't.
We're going beyond the dabble.
Yeah, we're going into high-level dabbles.
The double dabble.
The double dibble dabble.
Dabble extreme.
Make sure to put little sunglasses on your ducklings and teach them, like, to ride a motorbike. This doesn't really help with the parent thing, but it is really cool.
If a duck dabbed while dabbling, would it help it dive?
Dabbling diving duck, you say?
A dabbling diving duck.
I only dabble in dabbling diving dab ducks.
But you've got to get really good at it. You can't just dabble in dabbling.
Rule 8, clear communication. I think we've already fucked up that one. Only communicate in elaborate tongue twisters about dabbling dab ducks who dabble.
Quack loudly and clearly.
Directly into someone's ear. So yes, in the event, and I can only assume this is why you asked the question, that you are a new duck father looking to raise your ducklings, I feel we've helped.
Yeah.
This is a general soundtrack to our RPGs. In the event
Yeah,
you
have you
like,
considered using tongue twisters as the background to your RPGs to replicate the experience of being a Nothic?
just have a weird man in the corner of your RPG room, just doing tongue twisters and dabbling their dab ducks dibbly.
This is going to be a fun one to transcribe.
In the event you'd like to support our dabble dab dabs, it's very warm, in case you're wondering.
It is very warm. Anyway, yes, we have a Patreon. If you want to join our Discord server where we play one shots, so you can get the experience of being a human trapped in a cat's body, possessing a headless Ronald McDonald statue while fighting a skeleton. You can go to patreon.com/probablybadrpgideas. At higher levels, you get access to bonus episodes, including reviewing possibly the edgiest RPG of all time, and homebrew races, subclasses, enemies, items, all that jazz. Which I think is probably going to end up including sentient ducks soon. after a conversation with some of our patrons.
I think sentient ducks are coming, both in terms of patron reward and just as a general.
Be ready. Yes, join our Patreon at the $10 level to get access to the Sentient Duck Patreon and therefore learn their weaknesses. If you have a question, you can email probablybad.rpgideas at... No, you can't.
Fuck you.
You can email probablybadpodcast@gmail.com or messages on Twitter or Tumblr. We also have a Redbubble, which, among other things, includes a Rules of Being a Fantasy Dad shirt. That's redbubble.com/people/probablybad. And remember to have a probably bad day.